So we had ourselves a few updates out of the Switzer Center as Coach Venables seems to be optimistic about a few things, not only from the performance from BYU, but also some players potentially playing on Friday against TCU. And so since they had to have the press conference a day early with the Thanksgiving holiday coming in 2 days, we're going to dive into some of these updates that Coach Venables gave, some of his thoughts, and kind of how I feel about the direction that we're going. So let's dive into that. But before we do that, welcome to Unfair Sports. I'm your host, Jay. Thanks for pulling up to the channel. For the uninitiated, we talk a lot of OU football here as well as some college football in general. We'll be expanding after this season to really dive into more things. And so thank y'all for pulling up and always showing support to the channel. So grab a seat, grab your favorite snack. Let's sit down and dive into Coach Venables' presser and talk about some of the key points I think I got out of it on what we can expect this coming week against TCU, as well as some of the status updates on some of the players. So let's jump into it. First and foremost, from the BYU game, there was a couple of things that jumped out to me. If you watched my recap, I really dove into some of the struggles we saw on the defensive side of the ball. And Coach Venables talked about that in his presser. The link to it for Sooners Illustrated is below if you want to watch the entire video. But let's talk into that. First and foremost, defensively, Coach Venables pointed out that the defensive line did not really struggle in this game. Like, they were doing their part. The bigger issue was our linebackers were not hitting the holes like we needed to. They weren't filling their gaps. They were missing on their locations. They weren't filling up the double teams to let others through like they were supposed to. There was a few components and moving parts with it, but he really pointed out the linebacker play. And the good thing with Coach Venables is he takes full responsibility of that because he's a linebacker guy. That's what he played in college. That's the thing that he really preaches and focuses on. But talked about Kip Lewis, Kobe McKenzie playing a lot more, mainly because Danny Stutzman was down with, we believe, food poisoning. He ate something, and he was the only person that ate it, and he was not feeling well. So he was getting IV'd up a lot during the game. So you didn't see a lot of him, which is interesting if you recognize that's when you really see the biggest struggle from this Sooner defense is when Stutzman is not either 100% or playing. We saw that against UCF. We saw that against Oklahoma State and Kansas when we didn't have really Stutzman playing at full 100%, and we struggled. But when he came back against West Virginia, defense changed. We looked like a different animal in that game. And so that's kind of one of the big things you recognize from this team is without Stutzman, we're kind of struggling. But don't fret. We're very young with freshmen, redshirt freshmen, and sophomores playing at that linebacker position next to Stutzman. There's a lot of optimism behind that. And I'm very optimistic of the fact that we're developing as a team, which is beautiful. Another thing that he made mention of is on the injury front. Now, this is probably the one you guys care the most about. He talked about Dillon Gabriel as well as Jackson Arnold and who potentially will be the quarterback for TCU. Right now, there's optimism that Gabriel will be ready to play. We know that he had an injury. Venables mentioned it was an upper body injury. He's never come out and said it was a concussion, never come out and said it was a head injury. But we all saw what happened on the field. So with him dancing around the name and what the actual injury is and not really giving it a label tells me that the goal is to find a way to get Dillon Gabriel out there for this TCU game. And it's not saying that Jackson Arnold isn't ready, but Jackson Arnold is also a freshman. And so that's one of those things you want to be careful with playing freshmen too soon because they will have freshman mistakes. And you would like for more of those mistakes to come in situations that's not detrimental to the season. And so the sense is the goal is to get Dillon Gabriel out there. We'll find out in the next couple of days if that happens. I mentioned it in a tweet, and we've talked about it a few times on a few of the videos, that I think this is the era of Jackson Arnold now because if Dillon Gabriel does have a concussion, it's going to take a few days to get healed over. But, you know, it is what it is. If they sense that they can get him back out there, I'm not complaining. I'm happy to have the veteran out there playing against TCU and letting them get revenge for what happened last season. Totally there for him cooking them, especially because this team plays so much better at home compared to the road. Now, also on the injury front, one player that did not show up last week that we didn't realize was Gentry Williams, the young sophomore corner. Remember, we're very young, especially in the linebacker and secondary. But Gentry he didn't make the trip to BYU because he's been dealing with injuries. But it sounds like Venables mentioned he's practiced all week. And so if we get Gentry back out there next to Woody Washington, my God, that secondary just jumped up 3 or 4 fold. You add him in there. Reggie Pearson looks like he's probably going to be healthy too. You'll see him playing with Billy Bowman, who gave us that 100-yard interception for a touchdown. All those injured players coming back, oh boy, that's going to change the game. And he also mentioned on the last front of injury side, Tyler Guyton. It looks like Guyton was healthy for the BYU game, but they decided to sit him and let Sexton get a little bit of experience. And now he's most likely 100, or at least close to 100%. And our first round tackle is going to be playing most likely this week. And I say first round tackle because I've seen in a couple of mocks over the last few days that Guyton is considered a first round pick at the tackle position. It looks like late first round. And if he continues to play the way he does, he's going to work his way up in the draft, which we should be excited about. So that's going to change our run game. That's going to make things improve. And Sexton was doing well for a young player. You know, he had his moments, but he's shown improvement, and Venables mentioned that. Okay, that's on the injury front there. Hop in the comments. Let me know what's your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you all, and jump in the comments. I try to jump in there as much as possible. It's starting to fill up a lot more, which I really appreciate all the support and the engagement. So let's talk about going into this week and kind of reflecting on the season. So the question was asked about winning these close games for Coach Venables, and shout out to my guy Jacob Majors, aka the Dark Lord Popo, who provides a lot of the stats for the channel. He's my stat guy, and he's the one that really makes things work in the background. But Venables was talking about those close games, and last season we were 0-5 in close matchups. Well, this season we're 3-2. I'm not sure how y'all feel about it, but I love seeing the fact that we improved and put ourselves on a winning record in close games, especially on the road, because that's where we struggle. We've shown most of our struggle when we travel, and that's really a youth thing. But Venables really pointed out and emphasized that we're starting to get better. We're getting better in every facet of the game. You're seeing incremental improvements. I'm going to run through some stats and stuff later today once the polls drop so we can talk about the comparisons of the last year's and this year's. But we're seeing a gradual improvement, the way you're supposed to improve, right? Some teams get the benefit of jumping over the development and rebuild process, and sometimes you see them fall within about 2 years or 3 years. They'll start to falter. We're making those gradual steps, something that's exciting. So as we go for win number 10, which is exciting for us, having a new coach, his second year in, he gets 10 wins after, having to gut the roster. We're roughly 80% plus, I think 85 to 90% now at this point of turnover from players from the old regime to now. I mean, you're ones that really really think about it is really Stutzman, Coe, Jordan Kelly. You don't have a lot of players that are here from the old regime. And so the good thing is we're starting to see that production. So of course I'm excited that what we're doing, I'm excited that we're moving forward with a strong foundation on what we're doing. And like I said, we're so young in a lot of key positions, which is great. Running back, we're starting to see some improvements. Venables talk about that. The runs are looking great. And if we have this healthy offensive line going into TCU, guess what, guys? You should go ahead and mark that down as a potential W. Close this season out 10-2. Pray to the football gods that everything gets refixed and aligned the way it's supposed to, and get our butts up here into the Big 12 championship game. Now, I'm not banking on it, but at the same time, of course, it would be fantastic to see us there, get ourselves a nice little rematch against Texas, and go ahead, beat them, knock them out of playoff contention, and move forward. But we won't count our chickens before the eggs hatch themselves. Let's just get past BYU, get 1-0 and win, and get that 10th win. And so Venables has shown some optimism for the rest of the season, optimism for the players playing, and that to me is all I need going forward. So, y'all heard what we got going on in these updates. Hop in the comments, let your boy know what your thoughts. Love to hear from you all and how you're feeling about what Oklahoma's doing, as well as the progressions that we made as a team. Because, again, I tell you, it's exciting times for the Oklahoma Sooners, and this is something that you all should be stoked about. If you've made it this far, you like the content, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Love to have you join this great channel of college football fans as we talk a lot of OU football and bring more Colorado in and some college football in general. So YouTube says check out one of these videos, I highly recommend it. You can check out the live show we had on Sunday. We'll be going live again, most likely Wednesday night, as we prepare for Turkey Day, just to give y'all some content to listen to as you prepare your meals and enjoy time with family and friends if you have the opportunity. Or if you're at work, you can listen to us at the job. Besides that, we will talk soon. Have a great day. Peace.